What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the Stelvio Quadrifoglio and what might be my last drive in this absolute beast. I thought I'd do one final video with it because I've been fortunate enough, due to I guess unforeseen circumstances, to have had this car as a long-term loaner. So I've had this Stelvio Quadrifoglio now for nearly 3 months in actual fact. I'll just get around the cyclist here. Yeah, I've had the car for nearly 3 months, and within that 3 months I've used it for absolutely everything. And I'm going to touch through all of that and kind of talk to you about what it's like to live with a Stelvio Quadrifoglio. What a flipping animal this car is, and there's traffic in front. Secondly, controlandshift.com. So my merch line is available. If you go to www.controlandshift.com, you can see all of the AB line, including a very cool Alfa Male t-shirt. So make sure to check that out. The link will be in the description, guys. So this car, this beast, the Stelvio Quadrifoglio, what's my experience been like with it over the last 3 months? Well, I guess there's an element of it where a lot of the time the car's kind of been parked up because of all the lockdown stuff that we've been seeing. But I think the fact that I've had to use this pretty much for essential stuff only allows me to kind of talk through the things that I have done with it. I have, of course, also gone for a very nice long drive with it. I've done multiple of those. But the key thing really that I want to touch on this, and if you haven't seen my video on comparing this car with the Giulia Quadrifoglio, then do. I'll link it with a card or something, because it gives you kind of my thoughts on what's the difference and which is the better car. Ultimately, I got to the conclusion in that video that for me, the Giulia Quadrifoglio is the better car, just because I prefer the looks of it. I love the fact that it's rear-wheel drive and it's a little bit more exciting. And they're basically more affordable to buy on the second-hand market, whereas if I was looking to buy one of these cars, that's where I would be looking at. I wouldn't be buying it new, I just couldn't afford it. But this car, it doesn't take anything away from it. And one of the things I love the most about this car, more than anything, other than the blistering performance and the sound, because it's four-wheel drive, so it is permanently on race mode. And obviously I've got the kind of mid to hard damper as well, which is just nice. It's lovely here. But the thing that I love about this car is the seating position, how high I am, and just the perspective of the road that I get in the Stelvio. It is brilliant. It's such a great ride, and I really understand why people love 4x4s. I really do. And when you couple that 4x4 platform with something that sounds this good and goes this fast, coupled to a four-wheel drive platform, you've got yourself an absolute winner. You really, really do. But things such as the boot space, which is the real big difference between this and the Giulia, we have used this, like I said, for everything. So when we've done the shopping, we loaded up the boot. Brilliant space. I love the fact that you've got the kind of motorized boot, open close. Makes for the experience of loading your shopping really, really easy, and any large items that you've got will fit comfortably in this boot, because you can fold the rear seats down, and it creates pretty much, honestly, the amount of space you get from this car, it feels like a van in terms of the amount of back space once you fold the seats down. It is genuinely phenomenal. I think that because it is four-wheel drive, that element of confidence of always being able to put your foot down is there in this car, and it's been a dream to live with. I mean, from day one that I got this car, it pretty much lived in race mode the entire time, and I guess that's testament to how good the four-wheel drive system is. You know, you can come out of a corner really, really quickly, endless grip. You know, like no worry of the back end slipping, none of that. So for people that are looking for that really fast car but not worrying about what the Giulia will give you, this is the car. This is such a good car. It's been one of those cars that, you know, you just get in it and drive. You drive it anywhere. It's a little bit large, and so you do have to be mindful of, for example, like now, even in these single file lanes, I've got very used to it, but you are quite close to the side there. It's a very wide car. It is a big platform, so that is one of the things you have to get used to pretty quickly. But once you get used to that, you know, you use this for everything. Parking in kind of car parks and car park spaces is a little bit more challenging because of the size, but again, that's just the norm with a 4x4 platform. What else do I love about this thing? Because having had it for 3 months, I've learned that you can do things in this car that you can't do in many other cars. And the thing is, like road bumps and undulations, this thing just eats them alive. I mean, check this from an acceleration perspective. Look, there's no fuss. Foot down and go. And that's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. And if you think about it from a family perspective as well, you know, you've got 5 seats in here, the kids will love it at the back. As a dad or mum, or, you know, whatever it is, if you want to go on your own like I am now, because I don't have a family, I've got me and my wife, but I'm still enjoying this car. It is a thoroughbred performance car. You know, don't get that twisted. And that's what's great about this thing as well, is that it's a 4x4, but it's so much more than that. The 8-speed ZF gearbox, those gear changes are ferocious. They just thump gear after gear after gear. It's just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Then the other thing as well is the styling of this car. This car gets so many looks as well, because you don't see that many of them around. That's a good thing, because they didn't sell as many Giulias as they did, as many Stelvios as they did Giulias. So when people see this thing, particularly in this kind of hero Rosso Competizione colour, it does attract a lot of attention. And of course, when you're permanently in race mode as well, you get that noise, and people turning around and think, what is that thing? What's that noise, and where is it coming from? And they see the Stelvio and they think, is it really coming from that car? And of course, this does have the 2.9 litre V6 bi-turbo, over 500 horsepower. Drop it into first and go. Acceleration is mind-blowingly quick, a 3.7 to 62 miles per hour time. Tops out 155 limited. You don't need to drive this thing that fast. I think just the low down torque that you get from this twin turbocharged engine is brilliant. It will get you out of most situations pretty unfazed. And like I said earlier, because of 4-wheel drive, you just squirt and go, guys. Squirt and go. And of course, it brakes really good too, because this car has fitted with the, I think they're about £9,000 optional extra ceramic brakes. It is unbelievable in terms of stopping power, and this car weighs, you know, just over 2 tons, so it's a lot of weight to stop, but it does it in a heartbeat. It's so good. What about things I don't like about this car? Because there are one or two. I think if I build on the brakes, for example, so the brakes, because they're ceramics, they do squeak quite a lot. So when you're just driving this car and you're trying to be normal with it, you know, you put it back into natural mode with the exhaust valves closed. You know, the accelerator pedal is a little bit less feisty. It changes gear a lot earlier, but equally you hear this really loud squeaking from the brakes, and I think that's just because they're ceramics, especially when they're cold. When you get them up to temperature, it's not so bad. The other thing that I find a little bit frustrating, and is a reason why I've got this seat belt here, is because the seat belt, the clip, it knocks on the side of the carbon fibre seat, which can be a little bit annoying. Because the suspension on this car is very firm, and I'm in race, if I go into the hard damper, so I'm race hard damper, you can hear it as I'm picking up all of the feel of what's going on in the road, which is fine, but equally I don't want to be hearing the seatbelt rattle, which is the only downside really that I can think of from an interior cabin perspective that has, I guess, let this car down. And it's a very little thing, guys, easily fixable, and I'm nitpicking here, but these are the things that you'll start to pick up on when you have a car and you have it for a period of time, because when you first get into a car, you don't notice that. You just have that euphoria of how great it is, and you put your foot down, you're smiling all the time and you're enjoying it. But as you've lived with it for a period of time, it's these little things that start to kind of egg you a little bit. The interior infotainment system as well isn't ideal. I don't use the infotainment system. Obviously this isn't model year 20, this car, the new one, different story. But even then, because this has Apple CarPlay, I'm sorted. All I do is plug in my iPhone and I use Apple CarPlay for everything, which is exactly all you need to do with this car. Genuinely can't get over the speed and acceleration of this. But performance aside, you're not going to always be driving this car in race mode, or you might. like I have, but you probably won't, because in race mode it is a bit more juicy, as you would expect from this kind of high powered performance car. But if you go into the advanced efficiency as well, and I've done this a couple of times where I've been on the motorway, I had to go into work for a couple of times. On the motorway, you've got the advanced efficiency mode, and if you hit the advanced efficiency and you're doing 70 miles per hour, it shuts down some of the cylinders to try and give you as much MPG as possible, which is a nice thing, I guess, particularly if you're doing a longish drive. You know, you're not going to always be foot on the pedal, you're going to be just cruising, you'll have the cruise control on, etc., which is fine. And you know, it's nice that you have an element of being able to save on a little bit of cost, but really, it's all about race mode, man. I would thoroughly recommend anybody who's considering one of these cars to at least have a go, at least give it a bit of a test drive, because I can promise you the moment that you get in this car, you won't regret it. I guarantee you that. You will absolutely love it, just as I've done, and you'll start trying to figure out ways of buying one. If you have a need for it, of course. For me, like I said earlier, I would rather have the Giulia Quadrifoglio, but this is a final example of just kind of, if I put the hard suspension on, it's a little bit bone breaking, if you can hear, because it's this suspension. But if I go back into natural now, much more comfortable. But my name's Stef. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Alfa Romeo for giving me this car, and I will see you all very soon on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.